Talks Profit only on NDTV Profit, and I'm your host Malika Mishra, and I'm being joined by my co-host Himakshi Bahugana.
Yes, and together we'll be taking up all your stock-related queries. So you can WhatsApp us or call us directly. Both the numbers are flashing on your screens right now. But viewers, you know, the Indian telecom giant Bharti Airtel has partnered with Elon Musk SpaceX to bring in Starlink satellite services in India. Now, this marks Starlink's first partnership in India. And remember, if Starlink does get the necessary approvals to operate here, Airtel will offer equipment, business-to-business services, and the ground infrastructure. And now I'm being joined by my colleague Rishabh Bhatnagar to give us some exclusive details on the deal. But till the time Rishabh, we'll be going across to him, I'd like to take you through some of the details of this pact. Back in 2024 November, Starlink, Amazon, Kuiper and telcos, all the other telcos had a debate on satellite spectrum pricing. And the telecommunication companies actually demanded a fair playing field, citing disadvantages. But now, after Airtel has come up, with the pact that they are, in a pact with SpaceX, Starlink, and Starlink services are coming to India. So, with that, we have Rishabh there with us. Rishabh, what are your sources telling you?
Right. Let's break this very interesting story down into three parts. Firstly, what we know from what Airtel has put out on the exchanges as well is the fact that Airtel will explore offering Starlink equipment at its stores. It has a bunch of stores pan-India. All of them could feature Starlink's routers, Starlink's modems, all the hardware that Starlink sells that could be on the books. We also have the fact that Airtel could market Starlink's B2B services as well. So it could offer it to schools, to businesses, to any sort of, to anyone who's willing to buy, especially in rural regions where terrestrial connections and terrestrial connectivity is low, where it's hard to install towers, is where Starlink's satellite-based internet can come into play. This is what we know from its exchange filing. Now, what sources are also telling us is that Airtel already has a group company called Eutelsat OneWeb. It will continue to market products for that as well as SpaceX and Starlink. So that will continue to be there. What we're also learning is that for both these pacts, the final clearances and authorizations are still in limbo. It is lying with the Ministry of Telecommunications, the Department of Telecommunications, and it is still being processed. Interestingly, like you mentioned, in November 2024, we had this whole furor about the terrestrial players demanding a level playing field and basically saying that, okay, why is a satellite internet firm who hasn't invested yet in India getting the fruits of getting cheaper allocation compared to us, while we have invested so much in sort of connecting this country and we've put out so much money in terms of developing infrastructure. So sources have told us that Airtel will stick to its stance on that. It will stick to a stance where it will demand a level playing field for satellite operators as well as the big telecom operators. It will continue to pitch for administrative allocation with regards to terrestrial networks, and it will pitch for spectrum pricing with regards to satellite networks. Now, that was a little bit of context for you. We'll also include what TRAI has said. TRAI is the regulatory authority for all of this. The likes of Jio and Airtel have in February also urged the government to ensure that there is equal pricing, otherwise the market will get distorted. So you're right, it could be perceived as somewhat of a U-turn that we're seeing from Airtel, while on one end they might say that, okay, we want spectrum pricing levels for someone like a Starlink, but they will also market their products.
Right, Rishabh. Thank you for getting us those details. And Viewers, moving on with the show, we have Avinash Gorakshakar, Director Research at Profit Mart Securities, joining us on the fundamentals, and Vikas Jain, Head of Research at Reliance Securities, joining in on the technicals. So don't forget to call us on the numbers flashing on your screen. You can also write to us on WhatsApp. Welcome, gentlemen. And as you may have heard Rishabh, my colleague, talk about this pact between Airtel and Starlink and the kind of impact and story that it has had. What is your view on Airtel? How would it turn out to be in the next 1 year or so? Because Starlink, if it comes, of course, there's going to be a lot of chatter about how the competitive landscape in the telecom sector could look like, because there's Jio, there's Vodafone, then there's Bharti Airtel, and Airtel in support of Starlink. What could change fundamentally? And I would want to know, Avinash, your view on this.
Yeah, I think good evening. See, my sense is that the competitive intensity could definitely increase, because a new player coming in and obviously supported by Airtel would mean that the existing players would definitely feel the competitive intensity. Now, how important and how big it is, how could be the revenue and the profitability impact on the other players is difficult to say. But I think stronger players like Reliance Jio, or for that reason Airtel, could definitely survive. Weaker players like Vodafone could definitely have a bigger hit. And I think we'll need to understand, how the business structure, the business model emerges. But clearly, I think in the very first year, I think, how customers also take this as a product is also going to be an interesting option. A lot of noise has already been done on this deal for a long time. And if it gets implemented in the very near term, then I think you're going to see financials obviously getting impacted for the other competing companies. But to really specify how deepen would be the competitive intensity, we'll have to wait and watch on the pricing and how the product is finally rolled out to the final customer. But net, it's an interesting opportunity. Customers will get another option, and obviously, if it is a quality product, and if it is backed by two strong companies, then I think the Indian customer would definitely welcome it. But I think we'll have to wait and watch for at least a couple of quarters before we could, visualize what kind of financial impact it could have on the entire industry as a whole.
Got it. Very well said. And let's dive straight into our first query of the day. We have a query by John. He's written to us on WhatsApp from Puducherry, and he holds 27 shares of IndusInd Bank at an average price of 960 rupees. He's asking if he should add more units at this current price to bring down the average price of his investment. He's sitting on a loss of close to 8,000 rupees at the moment. And he's also asking the future of this business in the banking space per se, and he's a long-term investor. Now, IndusInd Bank, of course, NDTV Profit has been covering this extensively throughout the course of the day. And to give you some background of for IndusInd Bank's share price has crashed 27%. That's a massive hit that it has taken. And this is the lowest since November 2020. And this is after the lender identified accounting discrepancies of close to 2.5%, 2.35% of its net worth as of December 2024 in its derivatives portfolio during an internal review. And plus, this comes after yesterday, NDTV Profit also reported that the Reserve Bank of India allowed only 1-year extension to Chief Executive Officer Sumant Katpalia. And after this news flow that has come in for this particular bank, a lot of brokerages have cut their target price. Avinash, I'd like to take your view on IndusInd Bank per se, because right now it's going through a turmoil. We do not know how long will the effect protract, but is it wise to currently buy shares of this company?
See, I think clearly, whenever accounting, fraudulent practices occur, and that too in a market like this, I think the markets definitely take it in the extreme negative way. And that is exactly what happened. I think a 26% cut in one day is definitely a very significant move on the downside. But I think, the bank management has clarified today on all business channels, considering that, FY26 could be a lot better. They could bounce back strongly. And they are pretty confident that this hit of 2,100 crores, which is about 2.35% of the net worth, is definitely not something which is going to impact their growth trajectory, at least in the medium to long term. So I think, considering the fact that the investor has purchased the shares at around 960, the stock is currently around 650 odd. I would suggest that, a bounce back would definitely happen, because after such a horrendous fall, markets would definitely not further bash the stock because already a large part of the negative is built in into the share price. But I think clearly over the next couple of quarters, the markets would observe closely as to what precautions and what process improvements the bank management takes. It's a large bank, so I would say that it's not yet the end of the road for the bank. The bank still has a very strong balance sheet, a very strong franchise. So I think you'll have to give in some time. So as of now, I think just hold on to the stock. I don't think tomorrow we could see a further rundown on the stock because today the stock has come down significantly. So overall, I think just continue to hold. Fresh buying can be considered only once we get some material numbers and some material statements from the managements, and which is clearly reflected in the numbers. So I think as of now, no fresh buying, but continue to hold for the next, say, 12 to 15 months.
All right. Thanks for that view, Avinash, for IndusInd Bank. With that, we have our first caller on the show. Hi, Chandra. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, it's our pleasure. Please go ahead with your query.
Yeah, I'm holding IND Hotels, Indian Hotels.
Okay.
About 10 shares. So I just added recently 2-3 days back.
Okay.
So my query is it right time to accumulate more or should I wait for some time?
Okay.
It's for a long time.
Right.
More than 3 to 5 years.
Okay, so you're looking for a long-term view on it. Avinash, I'd like to come to you on this. Are you optimistic about the Indian hotels company? And, in the hotel space, which stocks do you prefer the most?
So I think, first of all, talking about the hotel and hospitality sector, I think this is one sector where, the government has also given a big boost to religious tourism. More importantly, hotels as a sector are likely to continue to grow even in FY25 and 26. And I think the December quarter has been pretty solid for most of the hotel companies, including Indian hotels. So I think if the investor has at least a 2-year plus view, then I think he can accumulate the stock slowly. See, valuations are not cheap, but they are fair to moderate. And I think if one were to look at the next 2 years with the kind of supply crunch we have seen in hotel rooms and the kind of positioning Indian hotel enjoys, I would not be surprised that he could expect a very decent risk reward, provided he stays invested for the next 2 to 3 years. So I think, it's a good kind of effort to build a portfolio. But I think one needs to do it slowly. The market volatility being the way it is, I think it would be better that he does a small SIP here and has an investment time frame of at least 2 to 3 years.
Okay, thanks for that view, Avinash. And Vikas, I'd like to come to you also, talking about the technicals of the Indian hotels. Today it was trading at 749 and was up over 1%. So what do you have to say on this particular counter?
Look at the structure looks pretty positive. No doubt the stock has witnessed some 20-22% correction from its 52-week high. But once again, it's holding its long-term 200-day averages and bounce back. So 710, 720 is a good price to enter point, which is a 200-day average. And we believe the stock would continue to sustain. And we expect 820 to 830 on an immediate basis over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
So do you also suggest to accumulate at these levels?
Yeah, it can continue to accumulate because it has made a double bottom near to 710, 720, which would be protected as per the structure.
Okay, got it. And now we have Kanan. He's calling us from Kerala. Hi, Kanan. Good evening.
Yeah, hi.
Please ask away your question.
Yeah, my query is regarding Kalyan Jewellers.
Okay.
So I hold 180 shares at an average price of 530.
Okay.
I'm looking for both the short-term and long-term perspective.
Okay. And when did you purchase these shares of Kalyan Jewellers?
A month back.
Okay, a month back. And how long are you looking for?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. And how short, if I may ask?
3 months.
3 months. Okay. Thanks, Kanan, for that. And Vikas, I'd like to take your view on Kalyan Jewellers, especially because, the stock has seen a recent sharp correction since 3rd of January 2025. It was trading around 777 rupees and fell really bad and is now close to 422, just about $100 above its 52-week low. What's your view on Kalyan Jewellers, and will Kanan be able to make profits in the long term?
So in terms of long term, the structure has broken down. If you look at the stock gained some amount of momentum when it was not included into the derivatives month. In December, it saw a strong amount of up move. But since January, the unwinding position has been pretty sharp. Now the stock has witnessed a vertical fall from the highs of around 720, 730, 80 odd it made, and now it's near to its 100 week support area. So no doubt the price correction would be over, but in terms of time correction, I believe one should wait for some more time to get absorbed because the price correction would be over, but there would be some amount of time consolidation into the name and wait for the quarterly results. Once it's out, then we can take a review.
Okay, okay, okay.
Let's also take a fundamental view on Kalyan Jewellers. Avinash, what's your view on Kalyan Jewellers fundamentally? Because the price did see a sharp fall after January, but it has largely been a balanced trade. So if you look at it from a long-term perspective, especially given India's demand for jewelry and Kalyan being one of the major players at the forefront of it, do you think it's a good investment strategy in the jewelry space?
No, I think, see, what has happened is there's been a lot of profit booking, from 700 odd levels for Kalyan Jewellers. And I think, the stock has also corrected on certain panic selling, considering some corporate governance issues, which, the market had actually anticipated. The management has clearly reiterated that there's nothing of this sort. But of course, from a longer term perspective, gold jewelry market in India has got a very strong runway for growth. But in the very near term, at least for the next couple of quarters, with gold prices ruling very high, I would suggest that margins could come under pressure because for most of these jewelry companies, gold is the basic raw material. So I think at least for the next couple of quarters, one could not expect any significant amount of re-rating. But yes, if one were to take a 12 to 18 month view, then I think once the water settles down, I think growth could definitely resume. And I think these are companies which have got large, geographical kind of arrangements. They've got a very good network plus a very strong brand. So I think overall, longer term, I think money can be made. But yes, in the short term, over the next, say, 3 to 6 months, the stock will remain range bound.
Okay, okay. Thanks for that view, Avinash, on Kalyan Jewellers for long term. Now we have a caller from Chennai. Hi, Munir. Good evening.
Good evening, madam.
Yes, how can we help you, Munir?
Yes, my query is regarding Zydus Life Sciences. I'm holding 100 shares.
Okay.
The average price of 950. I just want to know a short-term view of the share.
Okay.
As well as, is it okay to average furthermore at this current price level?
All right. Because you've bought at 950 and currently it's trading at 900 levels.
Yes.
And if we talk about today's trade, so it was just up over 0.5%. Vikas, I'd come to you. Talking about today, Zydus Life Sciences actually is to buy 86% stake in Amplitude Surgical for $280 million. So this is the latest update on this front. So do you see any impact of this kind of a news on this particular company for short term?
So we look at the stock has witnessed some amount of support area near to 860, 880 odd levels. And overall pharma sector, what the sell-off has been done with respect to tariff-related news flow, the sector has been overrated and sell. So the stock has been completely oversold, and we believe a bounce back cannot be ruled out. So 10 to 12% up move will be ruled out into the stock. So we expect the stock to move higher near to 980 odd levels over the next 4 to 5 weeks because it is holding to its support line area of the 100 weeks and made double bottom. So we remain positive on the stock. We believe 980 to 1,000 rupees should be expected over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, and Avinash, on the fundamental front, are you positive on Zydus Life Sciences?
Yeah, I think clearly, the company operates in the, in a kind of a B2C space. They have a very strong, noticeable brand presence. But I think, near-term triggers are not there. I think if one were to look at the next 12 to 18 months, then I think definitely FY26 would be significant better compared to last year. So I think we have a positive and constructive view here, but slightly over the longer term.
Okay, got it. And now we have Rao. He's calling us from Hyderabad. Hi, Rao. Good evening.
Hi, madam.
Hello. Please ask your question.
Madam, I am holding SJVN at the rate of 155, 200 shares.
Okay.
Either short term or long term is okay for me.
Okay.
But my question is, can I accumulate it right now? Shall I wait for some time? Or what's your view on this?
Got it. And Rao, when did you purchase these 200 shares of SJVN?
Roughly about 4 months before.
4 months before. Okay, got it. Avinash, I'll take your view on SJVN. Rao holds 200 shares at 155 rupees a piece, very, very close to its 52-week high. The stock has not only seen a downward trend since July of 2024, consistent downward trend, but its volumes also seems to have dilapidated over time. And if you look at the PE ratio, it stands close to 36.96. From this context, just solely from the PE ratio point of view, I'd like to understand, for an electricity generation company such as SJVN, do you think it is overvalued as compared to its peers? And number two, why are we seeing the kind of sell-off that it has witnessed in the past couple of months?
No, I think clearly, I think power companies, according to my assessment, are valued on their book value, not on their earnings. They normally trade at a kind of book value multiple. So, price earnings are not a very important criteria for power generating companies as a whole. And as far as SJVN is concerned, I think the sell-off has largely come from the foreign institutional investors, from the fund side. A lot of QIP investors who actually had, invested were slightly disappointed on the third quarter numbers. So I would say that, now since the investor has invested at around 155 odd rupees, which is the peak level, I would not suggest him to book a loss, but I think take at least a couple of years view and hold on, because this business has got a very strong runway for growth. The government is also very keen on pushing green energy. So I think clearly, if the investor can give in at least a couple of years, and obviously, if at all, can average a little more, because his buying price has been on the high side, he could only then expect a decent risk reward, because these companies were in the flavor at some point of time. Now suddenly the markets have reduced the flavor for such stocks. So I think for the earnings trajectory to again recommence, the book value to get enhanced would take some more time. So I think he just needs to wait for a couple of years and stay invested.
Okay, thanks for that view on SJVN, Avinash. We have a caller now from Pune. Hi Kumar, good evening.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Yes, how can we help you, Kumar?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I'm holding Garden City Search stock.
Okay.
So I'm holding it for more than, I think, with an average of 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
I kept doing averaging, and the count is 59, and the average price has become 2057.
All right.
And so this is, I'm holding for defense sector. I'm not sure, how this stock will go, and is it worth for a long-term perspective or not?
Yeah, and when you started investing in this stock, so were you looking for a long-term view or short-term view? For how long were you planning to hold it?
Well, for my planning is to have this for long-term perspective, 3-4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but right now stock is almost 36-40% minus nowadays.
Yes.
So not sure about my.
And you are sitting on a loss of almost 44,000. There's what I can see. So Avinash, coming to you, our viewer Kumar bought this at 2,057, and currently it's trading at 1,314. And if I look at, the charts, it has, in the last 1 year, it has seen like a positive momentum, not a very great picture. But today, if I talk about, the performance, so it was down over 3% today in trade. So what do you have to see to Kumar? Should he be, staying invested in it for another 3 to 4 years? Is it advisable, or should he book his loss?
No, I think first of all, I think the investor seems to have purchased the share when most of the defense stocks were in a kind of a euphoric kind of zone. More importantly, on the fundamental side, Garden Reach still continues to have a very healthy order book of almost 4,000 to 4,500 crores. So order book visibility for the next 2 years is threshold. I think new orders are also coming in. Garden Reach is also looking at overseas markets. So I think, clearly the timing of the entry has been wrong. But I think the selection of the company has been the right company within the marine defense space. So I think you have seen a big correction for almost all the majors like Mazgaon Dock, Garden Reach, as well as Cochin Shipyard. So my sense is that unless he gives a couple of years, earnings momentum is not going to pick up in a hurry. Most of these companies have got large order books, but see, unless the company announces fresh new orders, any further re-rating in the stock is not going to happen, at least in the very near term. So unless he's giving a couple of years time frame, then only he can think of making some good risk reward here. Otherwise, in the short term, the stock will remain in a sideways one.
Okay, got it. And now let's take up another WhatsApp query. Bharat has written to us from Kerala. He holds 125 shares of Cyient at 1,260 rupees a piece. And he's asking for a long-term view on this one. Now, Cyient did see a sharp fall in the month of January, and after that has been falling consistently. Plus, Nifty IT has been a pain point, especially after recessionary fears in the US and also Trump tariffs and the kind of impact it could have. So IT companies are not doing that well, are not showing the kind of confidence they have shown. Avinash, I'd like to take your view on this particular company. It did see, it fell close to 1.5% in trade today. What's your view on Cyient looking like?
See, clearly December numbers were extremely disappointing, and I think the management commentary was also not encouraging. So I think that was the bigger pain point for SAT. And I think overall the IT pack still seems to be dragging. I think despite the fact that the balance sheet is strong, growth the quotient is yet missing. And I think going forward with the kind of signals we are getting from the US market, it's going to be a challenging year as far as FY26 is also concerned. So I think any rise, my sense is the investor should use to exit because he's very close to his buying price. 1260 as is his buying price. The stock is around 1240, 1245. So it's not a very big difference. It's better that he sells the stock and enters some other promising bet. I think stocks like Varun Beverages which represent the consumption theme are available at pretty good valuations, and again where the risk reward is much better than CAT.
All right. And Vikas, what do you have to say on the counter for short term? A very quick view.
Yeah, if you look at the post the Jan numbers, the stock had a vertical fall of more than 18-20%. And since then, the stock is not able to revive. So unless until the stock doesn't move higher, about 1320 odd, it would remain a sell.
A sell on Cyient from Vikas for short term. Now with that, viewers will have to slip into a short break. Keep sending in your queries on WhatsApp and call in. We'll be right back for Ask Profit. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit Conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
A life which is both taking care of your material needs and taking care of your altruistic needs. That will be the true definition of Viksit Bharat.
In my view, we are already out of that slowdown.
For every anlom, you have to have vilom. You can't just keep doing up and up in the breathing also. You have to come down. So the correction and healthy correction is a very, very integral part of the market.
The private capital expenditure, from where I sit, I see that private capital expenditure is happening.
Any tariff coming on Indian goods will be passed on to American consumers, and Indian companies will not be affected.
We feel fairly good about the fact that we can compete with various folks.
Actually, instead of Viksit Bharat, we should call it Re-Viksit Bharat.
Headlines you start your day with. What matters worldwide is now in the palm of your hands. Get ready to seize the day and maximize your financial potential. Stay ahead of the curve with all you need to know on NDTV Profit.
Very warm welcome to you all for this NDTV Profit Conclave, which is themed on Viksit Bharat.
A life which is both taking care of your material needs and taking care of your altruistic needs. That will be the true definition of Viksit Bharat.
In my view, we are already out of that slowdown.
For every unloam, you have to have vilom. You can't just keep doing up and up in the breathing also. You have to come down. So the correction and healthy correction is a very, very integral part of the market.
The private capital expenditure, from where I sit, I see that private capital expenditure is happening.
Any tariff coming on Indian goods will be passed on to American consumers, and Indian companies will not be affected.
We feel fairly good about the fact that we can compete with various folks.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching Ask Profit on NDTV Profit, and we are joined by Avinash Gorakshakar on the fundamentals and Vikas Jain on the technicals. So please pick up your phones and call us right away. Both the numbers are flashing on your screens right now. With that, we have a caller from Hyderabad. Hi, Jitendra. Good evening. How can we help you on the show?
Madam, very good evening to all. I am holding 1250 shares of Paradeep Phosphates at 107.
Okay.
It is showing great supports at 82 levels.
Yeah.
I have been seeing that levels. And I want both technical and fundamental analysis for long term as well as short term.
Okay.
Whether I can add more 2000 shares of Paradeep Phosphates.
All right, all right. So Vikas, firstly, I'd like to come to you on the technical front. You know, currently it's trading at 91 and Jitendra has bought it around 107 and he wants to accumulate more, around 2000 shares more. So what suggestion do you have for Jitendra? Because if I look at the charts, it actually peaked in the last week of January. But since then, you know, the stock has witnessed a downward trend. So what do you have to say?
I believe the correction is not yet been over. So if you look at the structure remains pretty weak and it will take time to recover the up move what it has been sustained. So on the downside, the stock has a good potential of near to 79 to 80 odd rupees, which is a 200-week average, which is a good support. So we expect some another 5-7% decline, but anything near to 79 to 82 as he wants to accumulate more, he should wait for some 5%, 7% correction from here on and accumulate near to 82 odd levels.
Right, thanks for that view, Vikas. And Avinash, I'll come to you on the fundamental aspect. How are the fundamentals of Paradeep Phosphates looking like? Are they promising for the near future?
See, I think clearly, unless the investor has a slightly longer term view of at least the next 12 to 18 months, the profitability has not been so great. And I think, most of these agrochemical fertilizer kind of stock companies usually get a pickup, ahead of the monsoon. So I think, probably, once the budget is over, I think unless there are some specific triggers, I would not be surprised that you would see a big kind of rally or a re-rating in the very short term. But yes, I think if the investor can hold on for the longer term, I think he could definitely think of a reasonably good risk reward here. But I think in the short term, at least for the next couple of quarters, at least till September, I wouldn't be surprised the stock is going to remain in a sideways mode.
Okay, got it. And now we have another caller from Hyderabad. Shrikant is in. Hi, Shrikant. Good evening. Shrikant, can you hear me? Okay. It's a patchy line. I will take up Shrikant's query. He holds 100 shares of Sonata Software at 480 rupees a piece, and he's asking for a 5-year view. Now, Shrikant currently sits on a loss of close to 11,000 rupees from this investment. The stock did see a dip of close to 1.88% today. It's an IT services company again. Avinash, what's your view on Sonata Software? Do you think this company is relatively, fairly valued?
Yeah, I think, from a longer term perspective over the next, say, 12, 18 months, I think definitely things should brighten up. At least in the very short term, the IT market, specifically whatever happens in the US market, is going to be a little uncertain. So at least, till September, unless and until we get clarity on the kind of order wins, on the kind of new, kind of accounts which the company backs, because the company has a very large exposure to the US market. And it's one of those smaller IT companies if you compare it to the big boys like TCS, HCL Tech, or Infosys. So I think, if the investor can have the conviction of holding for the next couple of years, he can definitely hold on. It's done remarkably well in the past, has delivered on the numbers. But I think in the current scenario, I think, probably when we require to give in a slightly longer time frame to, let the earnings, start reflecting in the numbers. So I think it's a hold, but no major re-rating expected in the near term.
Okay, got it. And Vikas, I'd also like to understand from your end that if we were to put a target price for the next 5 years on Sonata Software and also a stop loss currently for anybody who's accumulating this at the moment, what would those two numbers be for you?
So if you look at the stop loss has been gone way back near to those 630, 650 odd levels. And from there, we have seen a vertical correction. And from here on, the stock has witnessed strong amount of volatility, but we believe some more time correction cannot be ruled out. So on the downside, the stock has a good support area near to its 100-week average and equivalent near to 310, 320, which it showcased. So if you want, Shiva can keep a stop of around 300 odd rupees from current levels. On the higher side, the first potential target would be near to 610, what was the breakdown level. So that would be the first resistance area, but I believe that would take at least 2 to 3 quarters to emerge through if that is been proved through. So 310 to 300 would be the first stop loss price. And on the higher side, the first potential target would be near to 610 over the next few quarters.
Thanks for that view, Vikas. We have a caller now from Bengaluru. Hi, Vivek. Good evening.
Good evening. So I've been holding 20 shares of Elecon Engineering at the price of 656.
Okay.
So how is the long-term prospects of the company?
All right. And why did you go for this particular counter in the very first place, Vivek?
So this was a company which was bought by Vijay Kedia at the recent past. So I thought of taking a few shares of this company.
All right. So you got inspired by it. All right, I'll get you a long-term view on it. Avinash, coming straight to you. Currently, it's trading at 400 and was down over 3% today in trade. And, Elecon Engineering, for our viewers who don't know about this particular company, it actually manufactures and sells power transmission and material handling equipment in India and internationally. So what suggestion do you have for Vivek there?
No, I think, he should have the conviction of holding on. Normally, what retail investors do is they just piggyback on what most of the celebrity investors buy. And I think here the investor is right. Vijay Kedia is still an investor in this company. Obviously, his buying price has been on the lower side. But my sense is that unless you give in at least a couple of years, because, this company has a very strong kind of product kind of bouquet. And with the kind of infrastructure opportunity in India, and plus December numbers were fairly encouraging. So I think he should not worry in the short term. I think if he's got a long-term kind of opportunity and a kind of vision to make wealth, then I think he should hold on. There's no need to sell in panic. Once the market recovers and the overall sentiment improves, I think you're going to see these stocks bounce back quite strongly. So just continue to hold and have the conviction. I think, you need to have a slightly longer-term view here.
Right. So continue to hold and have some conviction there, Vivek, is what Avinash is suggesting. But I'd also come to you, Vikas, on this. If I see the charts, they have been showing a topsy-turvy curve there. But still, how is Elecon Engineering faring on the charts?
Well, it will take time to recover because if you look at the stock has been continuously making new lows every week on week, month on month, and it has got petered out somewhere. There was a corporate action and the stock went split, and since then the distribution has been pretty sharp. So we believe the stock could settle somewhere near to 310 to 320, what it looks near to the long-term averages.
All right. Thanks for that view, Vikas. We have a caller now from Bengaluru. Hi, Prabhu. Good evening.
Yes, madam.
Yes. How can we help you, Prabhu?
प्रभु मैडम मेरा पास 3000 शेयर है वॉकहार्ट फार्मा का. हम अविनाश सर से पूछना था.
ओके.
400 रुपए में लिया था.
ओके.
अभी 1680 तक गया था. अभी 1280 को आ गया वापस. मार्केट गिर गया. अभी क्या करना? होल्ड कर सकता हूँ. अभी 1 साल होल्ड कर सकता हूँ मैं.
Okay.
अविनाश शास्त्री से पूछना था मैं.
Okay. Avinash, Prabhu wants to ask for a fundamental view on Wockhardt. Currently, he actually picked up the correct levels there. He bought at 400 and currently it's trading at 1289. So firstly, we'd like to, congratulate him on that. But still, what do you have to say on Wockhardt?
No, I think my guess is that he's got a decent quantity, almost 3,000 shares, and purchased at a price of almost 400 a piece. See, I think clearly, in these markets, it makes sense that at least you take out your capital and hold on to the rest, because this is a company which is being eyed by many other pharma companies as a potential acquisition. Fundamentally, the company is yet to make a big turnaround. I think about a year back, the company made a QIP issue to large institutional and large investors. So, the funding has come in, but I think numbers have yet got to get reflected, on the profit and loss and the balance sheet side. So my suggestion is, that at least some part profit booking, should be done, because he's already made a 3x kind of return here. And the rest can be held on for the next 12 to 18 months. Some new development, specifically on the sell-off, if it does come in, then I think Wockhardt could definitely give in a good upside. But till then, he'll have to wait.
Okay, got it. It's a wait on Wockhardt, and now we have Ravi. He's calling us from Bengaluru as well. Hi, Ravi. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Please ask away your question, Ravi.
Yeah, ma'am. I have 50 shares of DAM Capital at the price of 395.
Okay.
Now it is almost 208.
Correct.
I can hold it for a couple of years.
Okay.
So how is the fundamentals and technicals for the company for long term?
Understood. Got it. Yeah, please.
At this price.
Okay. Can you add more units of this price at this price?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Vikas, I'd like to pose this question to you. Ravi currently holds 50 shares of DAM Capital at 395 rupees a piece. The stock is now trading around 209 rupees, as he mentioned, 208, 209, and it did fall close to 3.5% in trade today. It's an investment bank which provides financial advisory and solutions to others. Do you think it's a good company to stay invested in, and where do you think the stock is headed in the next couple of years, from a long-term perspective? And also, now that it has seen the kind of correction it has seen, do you think you should wait to add more quantities, or is it the right time?
So, look at the stock has witnessed a vertical fall. Except for the day of the listing, it has been in a continuous corrective action. So the stock came out with a good subscription base, and now, but as we said, the capital market ecosystem stocks have witnessed good amount of correction. But in long-term structure, it continues to look good because the IPO segment would continue to do well over the next few years with a lot of IPOs being lined up, and it is one of the pioneer into the investment banking space and the lead management space. So we believe it's a good opportunity to hold on at current levels. Even if he want, he can add at something because it's a good management pedigree stock. So he can add at current levels and wait for some 1 to 2 years view. We believe the stock first potential target would be if the markets recovers from here, the capital market ecosystem would be the first sector to bounce back. So 285 to 290 would be the first potential target.
Right. So that's a hold on DAM Capital on the short term by Vikas. We have a WhatsApp query now. So Ranjan has written to us from Kolkata saying that he's bought 5 shares of Neuland Labs at 15,200. Now he's looking for a long-term view on it. Now Neuland Labs is currently trading at 11,154 and was actually down over 2% in trade today. Now the stock's performance reflects a CAGR of 100% over the last 5 years, although it has faced some fluctuations recently. Avinash, I'd like to come to you. What's your outlook on Neuland Labs?
No, I think clearly, I think the investor seems to have purchased the share at the peak level. And as far as fundamentals are concerned, the company has done a remarkably good job in the last 3 to 4 years. And for them also, the US is the largest market. My sense is, the markets are a little worried and cautious currently on IT and pharma, considering the fact that a lot of news has been floating around the tariffs issue and going forward, how this is going to impact business of Indian pharma companies. So my sense is, you'll have to wait for a couple of quarters before clarity comes in, because once tariff starts, how does it impact their profitability margins? How do they manage to, pass through these costs to their end customers is going to be something very crucial. So I would suggest that, rather than buying the stock currently, despite the fact that it's seen a major correction, it's better to wait for the March quarter and the June quarter, and then I think one could take a reasonably well-calculated risk to add into this company. But I mean, in any case, he needs to take a view of at least 12 to 18 months because the kind of price depreciation we have seen in the stock price, if he needs to recover that, I think you have to give a time frame of at least 12 to 18 months.
Okay, understood. Very well. Now we have another caller. Ankit is calling us from Ahmedabad. Hi, Ankit. Good evening.
Good evening.
Please ask your question.
My query is, I want to add an IT sector share in my portfolio.
Okay.
So either I should go with Infosys or with Wipro.
Okay.
And along with that, I wanted to ask that at what time I can add, because as we know that the decline we can see in the US market.
Right. So, understood your question. Avinash, I will pose this question to you. Ankit wants to know if he should add an IT stock to his portfolio, and he's confused between Infosys and Wipro. Number one, he already mentioned that the IT space is going through a bit of pain because of what's happening globally, especially with regards to Trump's tariffs and recessionary fears in America, as I mentioned before. And Infosys was also one of the biggest laggards in the index today. It was in fact adding close to 30 points, weighing down the index by close to 30 points. What do you think about the IT space in the long run, and are Infosys and Wipro good bets?
See, frankly, large cap IT companies are unlikely to generate any major alpha over the next even couple of years. And I think the reason is, I think, first of all, the base is considerably high. And I think most of these companies have already become well generators. So now going forward, these could be at best be compounders. So I think, if the investor does want to invest in IT, he could possibly look at, the tier 2 companies like Persistent or maybe a KPIT, where I think the growth propensity is much better than the large, cap IT companies. So my sense is that, considering the kind of headwinds we are seeing in the US, IT market globally, US is the largest market for such companies. The smaller companies have got a better propensity to deliver a better, strong growth compared to the larger players. So I think, if he needs to buy, I think he should focus on the smaller companies. I think in the next, say, 2 to 3 years, he could definitely expect to make a decent amount of money from the smaller, tier 2 IT players like KPIT, Persistent, compared to maybe an Infosys or a Wipro.
All right. Thanks for that view, Avinash. We have a caller now from Thane. Hi, Adarsh. Good evening. Adarsh, am I audible? Adarsh? I think we've lost the line there. But we have Adarsh's query with us. So he bought 64 shares of Uflex at 488 a piece, and he's looking for a short-term view on it. So Vikas, currently it's trading at 464, and was down over 0.5% today. But the stock is witnessing a downward trend. Are you also optimistic on Uflex for the short term?
So no doubt the stock had a vertical rally and a vertical fall simultaneously, but it has been holding its long-term support area of those 440, 460. So it has witnessed bounce on various rounds from those 100-week average support area, and now it's again back into the support. So after a fall from this 830, 850, we believe the stock could continue to witness the support area. So we can continue to hold on. Its purchase price is near to the current price 3-4% away. On the higher side, if this 490.95 has been crossed over, then we could expect some strong momentum to 510 to 530. So we can continue to hold.
Okay, got it. And now we have another caller. Krishna is joining us from Odisha. Hi, Krishna. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Please ask away your question.
I am having Zomato.
Okay.
150 shares at an average price of 238.
Okay.
My view is for short to medium term.
Okay.
I want to add more. Is it advisable or not?
Got it. Avinash, I'll take this question to you. Our viewer holds 150 shares of Zomato at 238 rupees a piece. The stock is now trading around 208, has seen cuts of close to 10% in the past 5 days itself, and has also, seen a downfall of close to 3% in the last 1 month. But if you talk about the stock, fundamentally, it comes from the platform space, and a lot of brokerages and experts have pegged the fact that platform isn't going anywhere, irrespective of what happens in the temporary, what happens temporarily to the stocks. What's your view on Zomato?
If the investor has a slightly long-term kind of runway for Zomato, then I think, this is a business which is going to grow by leaps and bounds. And the QSR business in India is growing rapidly. And despite the fact that many other players have started entering the market. So I think, with Blinkit announced...
Avinash, I'm really sorry to interrupt there, but Prime Minister Modi is addressing Indian diaspora in Mauritius right now. Mauritius PM has announced its highest award, the Grand Commander of the Order. But let's get across to PM Modi right now.
ढोलक सोए है, लक्ष्मण हाथ मंजीरा, भरत के हाथ कनक पिचकारी, शत्रुघ्न हाथ अबीरा जोगीरा। और अब होली की बात आई है तो गुजिया की मिठास हम कैसे भुला सकते हैं। एक समय था जब भारत के पश्चिमी हिस्से में मिठाइयों के लिए मॉरिशस से भी चीनी आती थी। शायद ये भी एक वजह रही कि गुजराती में चीनी को मोरस भी कहा गया। समय के साथ भारत और मॉरिशस के रिश्तों की ये मिठास और भी बढ़ती जा रही है। इसी मिठास के साथ मैं मॉरिशस के सभी निवासियों को राष्ट्रीय दिवस की बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। साथियों, मैं जब भी मॉरिशस आता हूं तो ऐसा लगता है कि अपनों के बीच ही तो आया हूं। यहां की हवा में, यहां की मिट्टी में, यहां के पानी में अपनेपन का एहसास है। गीत गवाई में, ढोलक की थाप में, दालपूरी में, कुच्चा में और गातो पीमा में भारत की खुशबू है। और यह स्वाभाविक भी है। यहां की मिट्टी में कितने ही हिंदुस्तानियों का, हमारे पुरखों का खून पसीना मिला हुआ है। हम सब एक परिवार ही तो हैं। इसी भाव के साथ ही प्रधानमंत्री नवीन राम गुलाम जी और कैबिनेट के साथी यहां हम सभी के बीच उपस्थित है। मैं आप सभी का अभिनंदन करता हूं। प्रधानमंत्री नवीन जी ने अभी जो कहा, वो बातें दिल से ही निकलती हैं। हृदय से निकली उनकी बात का मैं हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। साथियों, मॉरिशस के लोगों ने, यहां की सरकार ने और जैसा अभी प्रधानमंत्री जी ने घोषित किया, मुझे अपना सर्वोच्च नागरिक सम्मान देने का फैसला लिया है। मैं आपके निर्णय को विनम्रता से स्वीकार करता हूं। ये भारत और मॉरिशस के ऐतिहासिक रिश्तों का सम्मान है। ये उन भारतीयों का सम्मान है जिन्होंने पीढ़ी दर पीढ़ी इस धरती की खूब सेवा की। आज मॉरिशस को इस ऊंचाई पर लेकर आए हैं। मैं मॉरिशस के हर नागरिक का, यहां की सरकार का इस सम्मान के लिए आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। साथियों, पिछले साल नेशनल डे के अवसर पर भारत की राष्ट्रपति जी चीफ गेस्ट थी। ये मॉरिशस और भारत के रिश्तों की मजबूती को दिखाता है। और 12 मार्च को नेशनल डे के रूप में चुनना अपने आप में हम दोनों देशों के साझा इतिहास का प्रतिबिंब है। ये वही दिन है जब महात्मा गांधी ने गुलामी के विरुद्ध दांडी सत्याग्रह शुरू किया था। ये दिन दोनों देशों के स्वतंत्रता संघर्षों को याद करने का दिन है। कोई भी बैरिस्टर मणिलाल डॉक्टर जैसे महान व्यक्तित्व को नहीं भूल सकता जिन्होंने मॉरिशस आकर लोगों के अधिकारों की लड़ाई शुरू की। और हमारे चाचा रामगुलाम जी ने नेताजी सुभाष और अन्य लोगों के साथ मिलकर गुलामी के खिलाफ अभूतपूर्व संघर्ष किया। बिहार में पटना के ऐतिहासिक गांधी मैदान में शिव सागर जी की प्रतिमा हमें इसी परंपरा की याद दिलाती है। यहां भी मुझे नवीन जी के साथ मिलकर शिव सागर जी को श्रद्धांजलि देने का सौभाग्य मिला है। साथियों, जब मैं आपके बीच आता हूं, आपसे मिलता हूं, आपसे बात करता हूं, तो 200 साल पहले की उन बातों में भी खो जाता हूं जिनके बारे में हमने सिर्फ पढ़ा है। वो अनेकों हिंदुस्तानी जो गुलामी के कालखंड में यहां झूठ बोलकर लाए गए, जिन्हें दर्द मिला, तकलीफ मिली, धोखा मिला और मुश्किलों के उस दौर में उनका संबल थे भगवान राम। रामचरितमानस, भगवान राम का संघर्ष, उनकी विजय, उनकी प्रेरणा, उनकी तपस्या, भगवान राम में वो खुद को देखते थे, भगवान राम से उन्हें विश्वास मिलता था। राम बनी है तो बन जाइए, बिगड़ी बनत बनत बन जाही। 14 बरिस रहे बनवासी, लौटे पुनी अयोध्या माही। ऐसे दिन हमरे फिर जई है, बंधुवन के दिन जइए बीत। पुनः मिलन हमरो होई जइए, जइए रात भयंकर बीत। साथियों, मुझे याद है साल 1998 में अंतर्राष्ट्रीय रामायण सम्मेलन के लिए मुझे यहां आने का अवसर मिला था। तब तो मैं किसी सरकारी पद पर भी नहीं था, एक सामान्य कार्यकर्ता के रूप में यहां आया था। और संयोग देखिए, नवीन जी उस दौरान भी प्रधानमंत्री थे। और फिर जब मैं प्रधानमंत्री बना तो नवीन जी मेरे शपथ ग्रहण समारोह में हिस्सा लेने दिल्ली आए थे। साथियों, प्रभु राम और रामायण के प्रति जो आस्था, जो भावना मैंने सालों पहले यहां महसूस की थी, वही आज भी अनुभव करता हूं। भावनाओं का वही ज्वार पिछले साल जनवरी में भी दिखा, जब अयोध्या में प्राण प्रतिष्ठा का आयोजन हुआ। हमारा 500 साल का इंतजार खत्म हुआ, तब भारत में जो उत्साह, जो उत्सव था, यहां मॉरिशस में भी उतना ही बड़ा महोत्सव हमने देखा। आपकी भावनाओं को
That was the Prime Minister addressing the Indian diaspora in Mauritius. Now he is actually in the country for a 2-day visit for Mauritius's National Day and will also be announcing some infrastructure projects. And with that, let's take a look at our headlines, top of the hour. Airtel signs an agreement with Elon Musk's SpaceX to bring Starlink high-speed internet services to India. This is the first agreement to be signed in India, which is subject to SpaceX receiving its own authorizations to sell Starlink here. The combination of accounting discrepancies and leadership uncertainty severely impacts IndusInd Bank's stock performance and investor confidence as shares plummet by nearly 26%, erasing close to 18,000 crore from its market value, making it the steepest fall since March 2020.